There are moments in human interaction that almost nobody talks about, yet they shape attraction more than words ever will. Because long before someone says how they feel, their body has already started telling the truth. And if you know what to look for, you'll realize something powerful. Attraction is rarely hidden. It leaks out in micro-expressions, subtle shifts, and unconscious behaviors people don't even notice they're doing. But here's the part that changes everything. Most people are completely blind to it. And that blindness? It's the reason they miss interest, misread signals, or chase people who were never emotionally available in the first place. You're about to see what most people never learn in dating, relationships, or social dynamics. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go deeper. There's a strange emotional tension that happens when someone is drawn to you. They may try to play it cool, stay composed, even act indifferent, but the body doesn't lie. The nervous system reacts before logic catches up. And this is where most people fail. They only listen to words. But attraction lives underneath words. For example, when someone is genuinely interested in you, their body naturally starts orienting toward you. Their feet point in your direction. Their shoulders subtly turn in. Even in group settings, their body chooses you without them realizing it. It sounds small, almost irrelevant, but psychologically it's massive. Because the human body prioritizes comfort and attention toward what it values emotionally. Now here's where it gets interesting. Eye contact changes completely when desire is present, not the obvious stare. Not something intense or uncomfortable. It's something softer, more intentional. They hold eye contact a fraction longer than normal. Then they look away slightly slower than usual. And sometimes there's a brief return glance, like their attention keeps checking back on you. That's not random. That's the brain testing emotional safety and connection. But nobody talks about this because it feels too subtle to notice until you start paying attention. And once you do, it becomes impossible to ignore. Let's go even deeper. When someone is attracted to you, their self-awareness increases. They become more conscious of how they're perceived. You'll notice small adjustments, fixing hair, smoothing clothing, shifting posture. But here's the twist. They don't do it once. They do it repeatedly, especially when you're looking. And this is the psychological giveaway. Attraction increases self-monitoring. It's the nervous system saying, I want to be seen in the best possible way right now. But there's another layer most people miss entirely: proximity. When someone is drawn to you, they naturally reduce physical distance. Not in an obvious or invasive way, but in a gradual, almost accidental pattern. They sit closer than necessary. They lean in when you speak. They don't retreat when space opens up. They fill it. And if you really want to understand attraction, watch what happens when they could move away. But don't. That silence in behavior speaks louder than words ever could. And this is where things get even more revealing. Micro-reactions. When you speak, someone who feels attraction will show visible engagement in real time. Slight head tilts. Subtle smiles that appear and disappear quickly. Eyebrows lifting during key moments of your story. These are not planned. They're automatic emotional responses. It's the brain saying, I like this connection. But here's the part that most people completely misinterpret. Nervous energy. A lot of people assume nervousness means disinterest. But in psychology, nervous energy can actually signal emotional activation. When someone cares about how they're perceived around you, their body becomes slightly less stable. They may laugh a little too quickly. They may touch objects around them. They may overthink simple responses. And this is where most people fail. They confuse nervous attraction with lack of interest. But in reality, it's often the opposite. Now imagine this in real life. You're talking to someone at a social event. They're engaged but slightly fidgety. They keep glancing at you when they think you're not noticing. They smile a little more when the conversation becomes personal. Then something shifts. You pause for a second and they don't rush to fill the silence. That silence is important because people who aren't interested will escape silence. People who are interested will sit inside it, even if it feels uncomfortable, because connection feels more important than escape. And this is where emotional intelligence becomes powerful. Noticing behavior is one thing, but understanding intention is another. Because attraction isn't just about signals. It's about patterns. One signal means nothing, but repeated behaviors? That's where truth lives. Let's talk about something even more subtle: voice changes. When someone is attracted, their voice often softens slightly. Not dramatically. Just enough to feel more personal, more direct, more emotionally present. They may slow down their speech when talking to you compared to others. Or they may become slightly more expressive, depending on personality. It's the nervous system adjusting tone to create connection. And most people never notice it because they're too focused on what's being said, not how it's being said. But here's the truth. Attraction is not loud, it's precise. It shows up in consistency, not intensity. Now let's bring this into something real. Think about a situation where someone keeps finding reasons to talk to you. Not forced conversations, but small, repeated interactions. Asking questions they could easily find answers to elsewhere. Staying a few seconds longer than necessary after the conversation ends. That extra time is one of the most overlooked signs in human behavior. Because people don't extend moments they don't value emotionally. And this is where everything connects. Body language, proximity, attention, voice, timing, they all form a pattern. And when you see the pattern clearly, attraction stops being a mystery and starts becoming readable psychology. But here's the warning most people need to hear. You can't interpret signals in isolation. One smile doesn't mean interest. One glance doesn't mean attraction. One moment of nervousness doesn't mean desire. But a cluster of consistent behaviors? That tells a completely different story. And once you understand that, your entire perception of relationships changes. You stop guessing. You start observing. You stop overthinking words. And you start understanding behavior. Now let's talk about the transformation. The goal is not to become someone who decodes others like a machine. That's not emotional intelligence. Real growth is about awareness, not control. When you understand body language, you become more grounded in social situations. You stop chasing clarity from people who are inconsistent. You stop romanticizing confusion. And you start valuing mutual visible effort. Because attraction that is real is rarely confusing for long. It becomes clearer over time, not more chaotic. And the most confident people in the world aren't the ones who guess the best. They're the ones who observe calmly and respond wisely. They don't rush interpretation. They don't force meaning. They let patterns reveal themselves. And that changes everything about how they move in relationships. So the next time you're with someone and you feel that subtle shift in energy, don't overreact. Don't assume. Don't spiral. Just observe. Because the body always speaks long before the mind decides what to say. And once you learn to read that language, you're no longer navigating relationships blindly. You're seeing them clearly. And if you want more modern psychology breakdowns like this, subscribe for more modern psychology and relationship insights.